entry-level luxury car segment is a segment that's very attractive to luxury manufacturers. Why is that? Well, you see, with an existing customer base, they already have people ready to buy entry-level cars from them. Well, maybe not for themselves, but for their spouse, for their children. So that's a customer base that's always ready and they can rely on. But more importantly, in an aspirational market like India, in a young market like India, there is always an ever-growing set of customers who are looking to upgrade themselves and buy their first luxury car. Mercedes knows this very well. They've had success with the GLA in the past, they've had success with the CLA in the past, and this is their latest product in the entry-level segment, the A-Class Limousine. We are here in sunny Goa driving the A-Class Limousine to tell you whether it's just entry-level or does it really offer a package that will tempt not just customers looking to upgrade themselves to a luxury car, but even to customers who already own other luxury products. Of course, design is a very important aspect of any car, and over the past few years, in fact for quite a few years, Mercedes' design has been on point. The Mercedes design team has been producing great looking cars, and the A-Class, I have to say, is made out of the same mold. When you look at it in profile, it has that typical touch of other sedans in the Mercedes lineup. You can see the rounded off, slightly sloping rear quarter panel. You can see the similar glass house. You can see the headlights, which are very similar to what you would get on a CLS. And overall, it's a pretty handsome looking car. Do I have any criticism for the design? Yes, I think two things. One, if you look at it in profile or from the rear, it's very similar to other Mercedes products. So if you see a C-Class driving past, you might mistake it for the A-Class and vice versa. But the good parts about the design, well, one of the most exciting parts about the design is that this is the most aerodynamically efficient production car in the world. With a coefficient of drag of just 0.22, it cuts through air very, very efficiently. How does that help you? Well, you see, there are two advantages that you get as a customer with that lower coefficient of drag. One, the car inside cabin noise and all is much quieter because the wind resistance is very low. Two, you also get better fuel efficiency. The front end design of the A-Class is fairly sharp and pointed. You get the traditional grille, you get the big three-pointed star. Of course, you know, that's very, very important. That shows what car you've bought. You also get these LED headlights, and you can see there's aerodynamic work all around to make the car more efficient. In fact, most interestingly, the 17-inch wheels which are standard on the car also come with aerodynamic design built into them. You see the black parts of the spokes. They're designed to make sure the air passes over cleaner over them and get the car even more efficient. You also get two strong shoulder lines running across the doors, which is also another sedan design hallmark of the Mercedes brand. And I think overall the car looks really balanced. The wheels look the right size. They fill up the arches quite nicely, and the stance of the car is really good. Coming towards the rear of the car, one difference from the other sedans in the Mercedes lineup in the A-Class are the tail lamps. Again, they're LED, but they're slightly bigger. One element of the tail lamp is integrated into the boot lid. They look quite good at night. That's a good design there. You've got some chrome detailing here where the exhaust pipes are and the rear of the bumper. You of course get the badging, and I think overall, yes, the A-Class design could be slightly more different from the other sedans, but it's a good looking car. It looks well balanced. And I think one trick that Mercedes is missing, they only have one bright color, a denim blue, that we don't have right now, but you'll get to see it when the car launches. I would have thought that they could also introduce maybe a bright red, maybe a couple of other bright shades, considering that the target market is going to be, a large percentage of that target market is going to be a younger audience who are quite happy to express themselves with brighter color cars. Mercedes also says that with a length of over 4.5 meters and a wheelbase of over 2.7 meters, the A-Class Limousine is the biggest car in its class when it comes to interior space, when it comes to headroom, and that's something I'll test in a bit. But I have to say, the interior of the A-Class is something that Mercedes is once again fantastic. They've done a great job and it looks absolutely fabulous. The one thing that you have to be careful about when you launch entry-level products is that they shouldn't look like they're entry-level, and this works very well with the A-Class. It looks plush, the materials, the finishing, the design is absolutely fantastic. I love this wood and this sort of dual layer dash that they've done. I absolutely love these turbine style air vents. They look absolutely stunning. They're great to touch, a really good quality item, and I think in that aspect Mercedes has really hit it out of the park. Equipment wise, you get two 10.25-inch screens. The touchscreen that controls your navigation, other car functions is HD. It looks fantastic. The A-Class also offers the latest in telematics from Mercedes, what they call the NTG 6th generation, and also the latest user interface, which is absolutely stunning to use, stunning to look at. The touchscreen works very well. The touchpad, I'm still getting used to. It's still a little fidgety when you're driving, and well, the A-Class might be biggest in its class, but it's not a very big car, so the touchscreen is easy to access. You also get high Mercedes functionality, which allows you to control a lot of the functions by voice command. You also get a high definition display here that gives you all the information. You also get 7 airbags to take care of safety. A pretty large sunroof, which Mercedes says is panoramic, but I think it's slightly small to be panoramic, but it's larger than a normal sunroof. So overall, I think quality wise, fit and finish wise, space wise, considering the size of the car and the segment it competes in, the A-Class is really good. It might even be class topping. We'll have to compare it to the other cars to give you a final verdict, but just the design, the feel, the plushness gives me a very positive experience about the A-Class. I will also quickly get into the rear seat to give you an idea of how much room there is, and after that we'll take the A-Class out for a drive. Now, as you can see, there is a decent amount of space available in the rear seat of the C-Class. Headroom, at least for me at 5'9", is not a problem. I think people up to 6 feet will fit and should not be an issue. There is a decent amount of legroom available too, but it's not a 3-seater as far as the rear seat is concerned. There's a big transmission tunnel here that takes up most of the space for the middle passenger. For 2 adults, I think this should be absolutely fine. Another thing I would have liked improved perhaps is the seat angle. The base of the rear seat is too low, and I could use with a bit more under thigh support from the seat. Overall though, I think with the sunroof open, with the decent sized window, with the quality, I really like these metal finish handles both on the rear doors and the front door. They feel great to touch. They're very well designed, and I think overall, yes, it might not be the biggest sedan here. It might be the biggest sedan in the rear seat in its segment, but it would have to be a car that's used by 4 adults at the maximum, but those 4 adults will be quite comfortable. And when it comes to boot space, the A-Class Limousine also features a decent sized boot. In the petrol version, you get 405 liters of space, which is quite handy, and in the diesel version, you get 395 liters of space. One good thing about the A-Class Limousine, you will get a full size spare when production of the car starts, and you get the India built cars at launch next month, or rather on the 25th of March, and the boot will accommodate the full size spare without hindering on boot space, which will be a great touch for practicality. Now it's time for us to hit the road and figure out how the A-Class Limousine drives. Now, when it comes to the engine and variant options in the A-Class Limousine, well, it gets very interesting. You see, right from launch, the A-Class Limousine will be offered with a 1.3 litre petrol turbocharged engine, with a 2 litre diesel, and a AMG model that would be the second made in India AMG model for Mercedes. Of course, we can't drive all 3 cars right now, so the one that we are driving is the 2 litre diesel, the A200D. This is a 2 litre diesel engine that produces 148 bhp, 320 Nm of torque, which is quite helpful, and is paired to a 8-speed dual clutch automatic. Performance is quite sprightly. The 0 to 100 mark comes up in just over 8 seconds, and in everyday driving, the 320 Nm of torque in the A-Class Limousine actually feels quite good. As long as you're above 2000 RPM, the engine response is quite good. It's quick, the mid-range is very responsive, and staying in the mid-range for most of our urban and highway use makes the A-Class Limousine quite enjoyable to drive. Throttle response is quite immediate. So whenever you're in the right RPM range, the engine has enough response and carries you through, whether it's small gaps or you're trying to pick up serious pace. So even with 4 passengers and luggage, I don't think performance is an issue at all. The ride quality also is quite decent. On most roads, the A-Class is very composed. High-speed stability, of course, is not a problem at all. But the ride can get a bit tight on broken roads. So I think the ride could have been softened a little, given that Mercedes has provided the A-Class Limousine with 17-inch wheels with a pretty sizable sidewall on the tire to make sure the ride comfort is pretty good. Overall, like I said, ride comfort is quite decent, but on seriously broken roads, maybe the setup could have been a tad softer. Two things that I don't like. Well, one, I think there's too much engine noise coming inside the car, inside the cabin. It's a bit too loud, so there could have been extra deadening. That's something Mercedes could have certainly improved upon. Secondly, the 8-speed dual clutch works really good, especially when you're using it with large throttle inputs, when you're revving the car, when you're driving it fairly quickly. But when you're driving in slow traffic, when you're in the first two gears, it tends to hold on to the first and second gear for too long, which means the engine makes a lot of noise, which means you're in the higher RPM range. So I think that could be something that the gearbox tuning could have been done better for it to shift into a higher gear, maybe a third gear, a bit on the quicker side, so the engine runs at a lower rev level, because that also means there's less engine noise coming inside the cabin. The good parts of the A-Class, well, the performance is quite good. The ride, like I said, mostly quite decent. It's quite spacious. I love the UI and the UX. And I think the big game changer that Mercedes is doing with the A-Class limousine, especially for owners who are coming new into the luxury fold, which for whom the A-Class will be the first luxury product, they're offering a class-leading, rather an industry-leading in India, 8-year warranty on the engine and gearbox. That's unheard of. And even better, you can transfer that warranty even to subsequent owners. So let's say you are a guy who's bought his first luxury car, the A-Class, and you have the safety, that factor in the back of your mind, that for 8 years, anything that happens to the engine or the gearbox, of course, only if there's a manufacturing fault, not if you wreck it for some reason. So if there's a manufacturing fault or any mishap that's due to manufacturing fault, the engine and gearbox are covered for 8 years. That's a great relief to customers. And because you can transfer it to the second owner when you're selling it after, say, using the car for 4 years or 5 years, I'm sure that will also fetch you a pretty decent resale value. So I think that's something that's going to be very appealing to customers, especially to first-time luxury car buyers. The pricing of the A-Class also seems to be very competitive. While we don't have exact pricing yet, we'll get it on the 25th of March when the car is launched. Mercedes India folks indicated that they expect the A-Class to be priced around the 42 lakh rupees ex-showroom mark, which is also very close to what the competition like the BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe is priced at. And when you look at the amount of equipment that the A-Class comes equipped with, fairly large sunroof, 17-inch wheels and tires, a great quality interior. I love these 10.25-inch screens. I love these vents, automatic climate controls, 7 airbags, LED headlights, tail lights. So I think it's quite well equipped with charging ports, with 6 USB-C ports, with Apple CarPlay, with Android Auto. So you don't feel like you're buying a car which doesn't have features which a cheaper car has. So I think there the A-Class limousine has done well. It's very well equipped. At 42 lakhs, it's going to be competitively priced. And with petrol, diesel and AMG options, I think it's going to offer a very, very competitive package in the Indian market. Could this be another class-leading product like many other Mercedes products? I think there is potential, but we'll actually find out exactly how the A-Class performs. One, when we get to know the price, and two, when we compare it to our nearest rivals. So look forward to the Comparo test very, very soon. Till then, if you're looking for a small luxury entry-level sedan, I would say you should certainly wait for the A-Class before deciding.